But overall, this document doesn't seem that important. I mean, we already know that the Duke is in the game, and it just feels like that's the language he would use, because he was always the eccentric sort. In fact, now that I mention that, let me see the journal. Oh, there's something new. I found a bunch of girls who looked just like me, but they were all killed by these weird face-sucking creatures. So much for not dangerous. Thank God this Michael thing was there to save me. I have no idea what he is, but at least he's not trying to kill me. What the fuck did he do to help? All he did was just put up signs saying where to go. But you could have figured that out easily, Rose. What did he do to help? He did nothing. How is that crucial? Oh, a first aid med. That's right. The enemies, they didn't kill Rose instantly. Maybe they will on the highest difficulty, whatever it is.
Things.
Seems, oh. Well, there's the Duke. Oh, and there's that, so, so that flower that I just saw before this cutscene, you can use Rose's abilities on it to get rid of it. Okay. Another one of these test subjects.
Lively now, aren't you? You should have put that effort into running.
What does he stand to gain from this?
That much more thrilling.
Let me go! Let me go!
It would seem this little rabbit lacks the necessary fortitude.
What, you want to see them fight?
A pity. You had shown a little grit and actually escaped. That purifying crystal would now be yours.
Really? Oh, what the hell, Rose?
What's this? Oh, now we have a new little
Don't stand there, run!
Let's see how fast this one is. Find her! Hunt her down!
Oh my god.
Get out of here.
It's all just environmental hazards. They're not actual threats, it's just, oh, don't step in the lava! You're fine. Alright, this is where we'll get a gun.
Thank God. A way out.
And then it gets blocked off. Then you gotta turn around. Then this happens. Michael just gives you a gun. And then Rose actually touches that and it generates a weapon.
Where am I gonna get a gun?
Touch my words doesn't make any fucking sense at all. I mean, I get this is the realm of consciousness. It's like anything is possible. But touch my words? I don't know. That doesn't really sit right with me.
Like this?
You might as well just manufacture the purifying crystal right now. If touching the words is going to create a gun like that, why can't you just say purifying crystal and Rose just touches it and that's the end of the DLC? So silly. Point and shoot. And these enemies don't drop any ammunition or anything like that.
I wonder where I might find the next rabbit.
That's blocked off.
They're gone. This must be the crystal.
Well, are you gonna get it? What's this? The disciples await their mass, bronze, silver, gold, with their garb arrayed. The light shall be
So we find
released.
these masks to unlock it.
Oh, okay. Are they serious? We're repeating the same thing we did back in Castle Domitres. How uninspired and uninteresting is that? We're getting the same 4 masks again, only it looks like we need 3 this time instead of 4. God, that is so pathetic. What the fuck is that about? So far, everything in this DLC has been so uninspired and so uninteresting. It's sad. It's honestly sad that this is the case. Okay, and it looks like I can go this way. Yeah, because that's blocked out, because I need Rose to gain access to her abilities, so I can destroy these, what do you call them? These petals? What's the center of a flower called? I don't remember what it's called. There's a shotgun, but what do you bet it's not going to be that useful? I feel like this DLC is going to be more about running than anything else, so they're going to design this specifically for, just barely any use of the guns whatsoever. Are there any challenges in this, DLC? Well, you bet there's a stupid Knives Out challenge. Oh, well that didn't work. And there's no checkpoint for some reason after the typewriter. Although, technically the sprint counter should work. Why am I not using the sprint counter against this guy? I gotta get back into that mindset of using the, sprint counter. There we go. Yeah, that's the sprint counter I know. They're the bolt cutters. Oh, come on. Oh, nice. There's no side grabs. So that AI is pretty dumb. So where am I going to use the bolt cutters? Over here? Should help.
If you really want to help, you could back me up against those things.
What do you mean you can't?
What? So, I'm on my own? Great.
God, they give no explanation for any of this. Wow, they actually put in an animation of her using the bolt cutters, yet they didn't do so earlier with that key. Oh my god, this DLC is so bad right now. It's not even, like, interesting. Okay, so there is crafting. I don't know how I feel about Rose as a character right now. She's no Ethan Winters, that's for sure.
Core.
Oh yeah, this is where she learns how to destroy the core.
How am I supposed to break it?
So this Michael knows about her powers. Her abilities,
I
sorry.
came here to get rid of them.
Is that really crossing your mind right now after everything you've seen? So you've seen the clones of yourself, you've seen the Duke, you've seen Michael, and you're not thinking about, like, something different? You're still thinking about removing your abilities? Well, talk about dedication in a very silly way.
Okay, fine. But how? What am I supposed to do?
You mean to tell me 16 years after Resident Evil Village and Rose has no idea how to use her abilities? There is no sense to that. And she's well aware of them, yet she doesn't try to master them or anything. What the fuck? Like, I could understand an aversion to her abilities if she knows about what happened to Ethan Winters and the fact that the actual E-Type Mutamycete slash Megamycete from Resident Evil 7 and Village, they served as a huge threat against him. And she doesn't want to indulge in that because then it's like she's disrespecting her father's memory. But still, though, why hasn't she learned to master it or something? If it's going to be running out of control, if the students are actually aware of these gross things coming out of her, and they keep calling her a freak. Like, maybe if she learned to control her abilities, they wouldn't be saying those things. But apparently she doesn't know how. What the fuck has the BSAA / Chris Redfield been doing to help Rose during this crisis? Need amplifier.
What's that?
Why would this help Rose master her abilities? Or just like gain a better degree of knowledge on their abilities, and looks like we have a puzzle here. Or it's just a door that requires a key that has those eyes on it. Lock from the other side. Oh, this looks slightly different. Even if it's still reused assets. Out of my way, move. The speedrunners are gonna have a day with this DLC. Okay, I saw this room in some of the gameplay.
No way I'm waiting through that. Maybe I can find a way across.
So far, everything just feels very scripted. There's not a lot you can do creatively with this DLC. There's nothing creative with the enemies. There's nothing creative with the strategies you use against them. It's just very bare bones gameplay, like no different to what you'd see in other lackluster, supposedly survival horror games. This feels like Silent Hill gameplay right now, with just dodgy gameplay mechanics and no creativity whatsoever. Nothing creative mechanically, just very bare bones point and shoot gameplay. Like, it's not exciting. It's not engaging. There's an herb here. Oh, what's this? I have found a means of drastically destabilizing parts of the mutamycete. Stop! Again, they're saying mutamycete. Why are they not saying megamycete? Of the mutamycete network by introducing a disruptive force to block the auto-inducers they use for communication. Oh, nice. So they've actually used the terminology from Resident Evil 7 because the connections compared Evelyn's hive mind and Evelyn's control over the subjects to quorum sensing in Pseudomonas bacteria because they use auto-inducers. And I did some research on this for my review. But that's what leads to certain moments like bioluminescence in certain... I think it was algae or bacteria. I don't remember what it was, but that's what you get, where affecting one individual unit has a drastic impact on the other units. It's like they respond as if like they're one. It's like that basically. That's what a hive mind is. For example, the hard-packed cores of mold, known as sclerotia, begin to break down on the cellular level and disintegrate when thus disrupted. Sclerotia? I think that's what it's pronounced. Sclerotia. Sclerotia form when the mutamycete develops in new locations, serving as a sort of anchor point or foothold. They are often associated with a patch of liquid void through which the mold Now they're saying mold. They're just flip-flopping between the terminology here. Stick to one word. Like, what is the difference between mold and mutamycete? Why don't you clarify that? They are often associated with a patch of liquid void through which the mold has spread. When the auto-inducers of the sclerotia are disrupted, it begins to break down. Any liquid void connected to the sclerotia will also disintegrate. Like I said before with the bioluminescence, it's like that, basically. It would appear that destabilizing the sclerotia sends a signal indicating that location is no longer viable for mutamycete habitation, triggering a full-scale retreat. So that's interesting. At least they're touching upon that. I didn't think they would, because new Capcom is very light on lore details, or even trying to make their actual vectors interesting like this. But it's a very similar idea to what it's like in the real world with auto-inducers and the idea of affecting one individual unit, affecting other individual units as well. Some Ken fluid right there. Rose Winters, Variant Flask 1.
So, what am I supposed to do with this thing?
Focus. I remember that.
Focus? Alright.
Jesus Christ, Rose, can you actually act like you have some bit of knowledge about your powers or your abilities? And here I was thinking that this was a flask that contained Ethan Winters' heart. Use on the core. Try now.
Let's see if this works.
So, how do I use it? Is it some other button? Oh, it's R1. Okay. So you use R1 to use Rose's abilities. And they drop ammunition. That's right. Hang on, let me read the file. Oh, hang on. Oh, nice, there's more journal entries. Masked Psycho. This gigantic creep in a mask sent more of those creatures after me. I would have been monster food if Michael hadn't given me a gun. Chris and Kay forced me to have at least some basic training, but I've never had to defend myself before. Okay, so she has gone through military training, but obviously it's not to the same degree as with Ethan Winters. At least Ethan Winters can block and crouch, and he has other knowledge of weaponry, but Rose's capabilities are so basic. I need to get that crystal, then get the hell out. And really, like, Ethan's capabilities and Rose's capabilities don't fall in line with the idea of basic training. Because it still feels like any normal civilian will behave like them. My powers. Michael led me to this strange flask covered in crystal, and when I focused on it, it sort of unlocked something within me. For the first time, I'm actually able to do something useful with my powers. Huh. So she wasn't able to do anything before? Well, why is it so different? Like, if she has such a high affinity to the mole slash Mutamycete, why is it that she wasn't able to do very well at controlling the mole slash Mutamycete? What's the whole point of Rose having a high affinity if she doesn't have any sort of mastery of this skill? And only now she's getting this mastery through some kind of MacGuffin within this consciousness? That is so weird. I can destroy these cores and any black ooze they're connected to. It feels super weird getting more in touch with my powers when the whole reason I'm here is to get rid of them. We're just gonna drop down, okay. Nice that they kept that.
If I can't get around it, I need to get rid of it.
Huh. So where is the sclerosis? Oh, there it is. There's a checkpoint. They're gonna break through.
It's like I can't quite get a grip.
Okay, so I need more mastery of her abilities before I can actually freeze enemies or slow them down. This looks like a weapon parts kit. High capacity magazine. Huh. This wasn't an attachment in Resident Evil 7. Oh, I'm sorry, Resident Evil Village. Or was it? I don't remember. I've never upgraded the Lemmy with weapon parts aside from the attachment that allows it to do more damage. There's no point standing around like this. You see, it's just more effective to use the sprint counter. Like, why bother shooting? Oh shit! God damn it! I wonder if the same tech from Resident Evil 2 Remake is here, where when you go through 2 doors, the enemies stop chasing you. I don't know why the sprint counter wasn't registering just then. Technically, by resharing the checkpoint, that might have also affected the spawn of the enemies on this part right here. So let's see. So where are they now? Why can't she block? That's so dumb. But it looks like I might have to get rid of these enemies. I can get past this guy without having to deal with him. I do want to test some things with stealth. Maybe when I enter the room, because I'm sprinting, it's alerting the enemies to my position. You know what? Forget the extended mag. I doubt I'll need it. Actually, no. I will, because I know this game will probably have some damage spongy enemies, because it's just like that. Okay, so let's test my theory out and see. So I should probably okay, there's a bloom right there, or a sclerotia. It's gonna need to be silent here. I can't quite. Okay, he. Come on, come on. Why is the blind fire so shit? Like, she's not maintaining continuous fire when blind firing. She's just firing like one at a time. She's like firing and then withdrawing her weapon. And okay, it looks like I did get the sclerotia here. And this guy's back in this spot for some reason. And I missed that. Okay, the sclerotia here has not been taken care of. Okay, so this is a bit problematic. The movement is not built for third-person gameplay. It just isn't. And interesting, when you... Okay, that's quite an exploit. Oh, the focusing tech from Resident Evil 2 Remake is in this game. That one's dead. I can forget about you. Okay, so where is the sclerotia? Oh, there. So, I guess I can fix my progress there. Yeah, still not a good gameplay. It's very dull gameplay, because the gameplay mechanics just aren't interesting. And I can't get that one from here, obviously. They wouldn't let it be that simple. And he knows. Oh, now it's working, but... Aw, that's... Of course this still works. Why would it not work? Oh my god, this game. They couldn't design this room better to accommodate these enemies, so they just made that exploit possible. Wow. Expertly designed gameplay, new Capcom. Fantastic. And you don't craft as much ammunition, it seems. Okay, I keep messing up my sprint counter, because the enemies I have to be pretty close to them for it to register better. Great. Yeah, I'm not feeling any increase in damage, honestly. Wow, he teleported away the moment the camera went off of him. And the damage is held. Wow, this is not good. This is not expertly designed if you're going to be using exploits like this. So pretty much what this is going to be is just resetting the room to just find that one pattern that works. Wow, talk about engaging. So disappointing. I really expected better, but this is not good. This is trash. And how anyone can like this DLC, like the only people that are gonna like this are just the speedrunners. The speedrunners can take dull gameplay and think it's good. Oh, he melts into the liquid void. So it's like he uses the liquid void to teleport around the area. Oh, what's this? It's one of the masks, it looks like. Monocular door deep in the basement. Yeah, let me just get this open first. And as soon as I get to the next typewriter, I'll just end the session here. Okay, so I got the bronze mask. Why am I Why am I examining this?
I finally got it.
It wants you to go back there so that the big guy can spawn, I bet. I think that's what they're trying to go for right now. Of course, I'm not really sure what... I mean, there are some Sclerotia back in that main hallway, and they will definitely drop ammunition, and maybe there's some additional supplies I can get, maybe some key items. I don't know. Rest? What's wrong?
Everything! None of this was supposed to happen. No. The reason I came here hasn't changed. I need that crystal. Thank you.
I don't need a first aid med, dude. I mean, if this game had separating agents, I would appreciate it. But this game doesn't even bother putting in separating agents to make the gameplay creative. Okay, there's the checkpoint. And the typewriter is right there, but let me just place the mask here. Why do I have to... That's... What's the whole point of this indentation system? Why do I have to pick a specific one? Just pick the entire thing and then place it there. Oh, wasted time. Yeah, so far, guys, this DLC is pathetic. Like, I had a feeling it was gonna be shit. Like, that's just new Capcom tech right there, because, like, you know, they want to keep the gameplay simple because they want to appeal to all the dumb fans that don't know what interesting Resident Evil gameplay is. Like, Resident Evil Village was a bust throughout the entirety of its duration. And, like, aside from Heisenberg and Heisenberg's factory, I mean, minus Sturm, of course, Sturm is a pretty pathetic encounter, and I don't like him anymore. But, like, aside from Heisenberg and certain elements of Heisenberg's factory, and, you know, occasionally with Miranda's boss fight, even though it's still a bit of a damage sponge, she does have some bad designs with her. Resident Evil Village overall was just poorly balanced. There was so much when it came to improper mentalities. There was just a lot when it came to fragmentation on the developer's part, and there's a reason why I say that this is the dumbest development team ever for a Resident Evil game. And unfortunately, all of that was transposed into this DLC so far. All of the gameplay is just so bare bones and uninteresting. You're just relying upon exploits. The enemy types are just reused enemies. Like, they're just reused Moriekas, just with a different aesthetic to them. The whole storyline is just not really a story. Like, I'm not really, like, getting any sense of a story with this DLC at all. It's not tying together events from Resident Evil Village or the epilogue. Nothing like that. It's just... it's a very isolated story, and like the Mega Mycete returning doesn't make any sense. All of this just feels like reused assets with the castle area. Like, it's just so uninspired and uninteresting. And I don't expect this from old Capcom. And like this is why I'm saying it's new Capcom, because new Capcom's gameplay format for all of their Resident Evil games nowadays is just stripped down to alpha level. Like, this feels more like an alpha than an actual game. Like, just the level of potential here with this DLC is just not realized at all. And I don't even know how I feel about Rose as a character. I mean, it's cool that she has some dialogue and, you know, like, there's something there, but just the times when her stupidity really shows, like, when she's asking dumb questions like, what's this liquid stuff, when she should be well aware of it, and somehow she has no mastery of her abilities 16 years after Resident Evil Village. And yet, Ethan told Chris to watch over her, to, like, teach her to be strong, this and that. And Rose was seemingly not that much of a strong individual. She doesn't seem like a developed individual. It doesn't feel like she's independent. Like, she's taking help from others, this and that, and she's not learning how to master her abilities so that she's maintaining better control of it, so that she's not coming across as suspicious to her students, to her fellow students. Like, some of her dialogue is fine, other times it doesn't feel so good. You know, there are just times where I'm like, is this really the daughter of Ethan Winters? I don't know, like, Ethan Winters was like a majestic character. There was a lot of mystique with him. But Rose, I don't know. Like, I'll have to see how she develops at the end of this DLC. But, yeah, just to sum it all up once again, this DLC's trash so far. The story doesn't feel interesting. I mean, minus some MacGuffin moments that really shouldn't warrant any reaction on my part, but the reaction it does deserve is just a reaction of, what the fuck? And then, like, the gameplay elements are so subpar, so 1980s. Like, not 1980s, like 1990s. Like, this feels like a game from the 1990s. It feels like it's from that generation. And that is not the Resident Evil I'm expecting. Like, Resident Evil Village feels more interesting as a game compared to this. And it just feels like they're taking the same route like what they did with the Daughters DLC for Resident Evil 7, where Zoe Baker doesn't have the ability to block, and her gameplay is limited. I can understand with the Daughters DLC, because the Daughters DLC was more so a story DLC. But if they're going to be adding, like, gameplay elements to this Shadows of Rose DLC, at least make it interesting. Like, so far, I'm just not really getting any sense of creativity with this DLC at all. And it just shows. It's just so empty and so uninspired, so uninteresting. And, like, I've even seen one person say this DLC is amazing. But how? And how does this feel like survival horror right now? This is such a laughable, goofy experience so far, where I'm just, like, lamenting the controls, I'm lamenting the subpar gameplay, I'm having to use exploits to my advantage to reset the enemies so that I can actually dispatch them and their health is retained. So I'm pretty much using the same tech from Resident Evil Village, because exploits were so heavily apparent and so, like, forceful in Resident Evil Village's normal gameplay, that it's just being transposed onto here. It just feels like new Capcom is giving up with trying to tell a compelling story right now. Like, I'm just not feeling it, guys. I'm really not feeling it. And so far, this DLC just feels like a 2 out of 10. Like that, it's lower than Resident Evil Village. I gave Resident Evil Village like a 3.5 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10, but I'm sticking to like a 3.5 out of 10. But this feels even lower in its quality. Maybe even a 1.5 out of 10 I should give to this DLC so far. Because nothing makes sense. The gameplay is substandard. Not even substandard, way below substandard. The enemy types are not interesting at all. Rose's gameplay is stripped down so much. And we're not getting any sort of grasp with her abilities whatsoever, and her abilities just seem more so for the purpose of slowing enemies down, this and that. Like, it feels like this DLC is just marketed for speedrunners. And like I said, it just feels like another Little Miss DLC, like the Little Miss DLC from Revelations 2. It feels like that, but you have a gun. And some enemies. I mean, the Little Miss DLC had enemies, but it's just, this DLC feels like the Little Miss DLC, but you just have a gun and you can point and shoot. And they brought back this focus mechanic from Resident Evil 2 Remake, which was so unnecessary. And just such a waste of time. And moving even the slightest amount is enough to throw off your aim. The damage increase is negligible. I don't really see any benefit. Blind firing is presenting with problems right now. It's just that there is so much in terms of negativity, and I never thought it would lean to this extrema right now, but it really is. Like, the whole introduction to this DLC, it just feels like a walking simulator. It's just one specific path you're supposed to go because you don't have any weapons. And of course, when you don't have any kind of weapon in a survival horror game slash horror simulator game, it's always going to be structured where everything is just a fake playable experience. You're just going down one specific path, taking this one rigid route, and it's just, it feels more like a cutscene than actual gameplay. And now we get into the gameplay, and it still doesn't feel like a game. It still feels more like an interactive cutscene right now. I'm very disappointed right now. And I thought I'd be more bothered by the third-person perspective, but I just don't feel anything. Like, that's just my reaction to this DLC. I don't feel anything substantial with this DLC so far. And I doubt the rest of the DLC is going to be improved in any sort of way. But I'll continue this playthrough some other time. Right now, it's just a little late on my end. But, yep. So, I'll see you guys in the next part.